people are, you know, the rabbinical community is mad with him because he is healing the sick. He's bringing sight to the blind. He's making the lame walk. He's getting the dumb spirits to speak. And they know that they said, if anyone comes doing this, he's the Messiah. So now they're mad. Because they have to admit that he just might be the Messiah. And they don't want to admit that. So, we have Yeshua in this assembly. And he tells this man and he straightens him out. And then I can imagine Yeshua going on to say to this, or want to say to this man, this is Rabbis 101, that when a boy child is circumcised, if he is circumcised, if he is born, on that 8th day he is what? Circumcised. Regardless to whether it is the Sabbath or not. So somebody's going to have to work to circumcise that little baby. Somebody will have to go and take out his little instruments and bless him. Baruch atah Yahweh Elohim of Abraham, and circumcise him. Somebody's going to do it. Because it is a requirement that all male Hebrew children of a line of Father Abraham have to be circumcised on the 8th day. Yahweh does not say in the Torah that if it is a Sabbath, then you wait till the next day. It doesn't say that.
That's right.
It says the 8th day. So Yeshua knows that. The rabbi knows that too. And notice when Yeshua talks to the rabbis and the teachers, he's a little harder on them than he talks to other folks. You know, the regular people, he's so warm and he's helpful and trying to help them along. And he says, you know, they're being led astray by these men. And then when one of these leaders comes to him, boy, he just chops their heads off. Boom. Just to call this man a hypocrite in front of his assembly, that's a big thing. So then, I'm sure he's also thinking of when a person dies. And this rabbi knows that. If a man dies, you just let him lay there on Sabbath day? No, you wouldn't let him just lay there. You would take him, and you would take him and do what you need to do. Take him outside the camp, do whatever you have to do. That's work. And then you're defiled and you're unclean until evening. But somebody's got to do the work. So Yeshua is knowing this, and this rabbi is knowing this. So for this rabbi to turn up his nose and be, wait a minute. You had 6 days to do that. You had 6 days to heal. That lady been sick 18 years, and you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait till tomorrow to heal her. Why didn't you heal her yesterday? Yeshua's like, you hypocrite. The woman, it was this woman's time of healing. So guess what? It's good to do good on Sabbath. So that's my point in bringing that point in. That, and many times people will use that when they talk about the Sabbath, when they don't understand that they should keep it, and they're trying to figure out a way to not keep it. They'll bring up that issue, or how Yeshua did do work on Sabbath. But that's why I brought that out, so that you could see that there are things that we do on Sabbath that's classified as work, but because it is rendered to the grace and the glory of the Most High, then it is given, and it is given freely. And Yeshua brought that to a greater understanding, and he gave it greatness in that. Now, the set-apart gathering, Leviticus 23:3. 6 days you work is done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest. You have a set-apart gathering. We can't forget that. You do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. So, the set-apart gathering is very important. Because what do we do in a set-apart gathering? We worship, we praise Father Yahweh for everything He's done. We get some teaching, we're able, but the most that we get is that we are able to fellowship one to another as a community. And that's what they did. That was very, very important during Yeshua's time. That they, and all during biblical times, that they were a community of people. And so as we come to our set-apart gatherings, let's really be clear that gathering together is a command, just as it is to rest. So we want to always remember, in the time of the gatherings, we want to be gathered together. Now, I want someone to read, someone get Mark 1 and 21. Please let me know who has it. Someone else get Mark 6 and 2. Then someone get Luke 4 and 16. Then Luke 6 and 6. Luke 13 and 14. Acts 13 and 14. Someone else get Acts 13 and 42. And then the last person get Acts 18 and 14. Whoever has Mark 1 and 21, please go ahead and read. Mark 1 and 21.
And they went into Kepha, Nahum, and immediately on the Sabbath he went into the congregation and taught.
Okay, Mark 6 and 2.
And Sabbath having come, he began to teach in the congregation, and many who heard him were astonished, saying, where did he get all this? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such miracles are done through his hand?
Okay, Luke 4 and 16.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And according to his practice, he went into the congregation on the Sabbath day and stood up to read.
And Luke 6 and 6.
And it also came to be on another Sabbath, he entered into the congregation and taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered.
Uh-oh, you think Messiah's going to work again? I think he might. Luke 13 and 14.
But passing through Perge, they came to Antioch at Pisidia.
Luke 13 and 14.
I meant the wrong one. But the ruler of the congregation, responding, much displeasure that Yeshua had healed on the Sabbath, said to the crowd, there are 6 days on which men should work. So come and be healed on them, and not on the Sabbath day.
Acts 13 and 14.
But passing through from Perge, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, and went into the congregation on the Sabbath day and sat down.
Acts 13 and 42.
And Yehudim went out to the congregations, the nations begged to have these words spoken to them the next Sabbath.
Read that one again.
And when the Yehudims went out to the congregations, the nations begged to have the words spoken to them the next Sabbath.
Acts 18 and 4.
And as Shaul was about to open his mouth, Galion said to the Yehudim, if it were a matter of wrongdoing or wicked recklessness, O Yehudim, there would be reason why I should bear with you.
Is that Acts 18 and 4?
18 and 4, I'm sorry. And he was reasoning in the congregation every Sabbath and one over both Yehudim and Greeks.
Okay, so what do we see here? Who was in the assembly on Sabbath?
Jews and the Greeks.
Say that loud.
Jews and the Greeks.
Who was in the assemblies on the Sabbath? The Jews, Yehudim, and who else?
Greeks.
And someplace in here said the Gentiles, the nations. In Acts 13 and 42, when the Yehudim went out of the congregation, the Gentiles or the nations begged to have these words spoken to them the next Sunday.
The next Sabbath.
Was it the next Sunday?
Not Sunday.
No. It was the next Sabbath. The Gentiles begged to have these words spoken to them the next Sabbath. So that means who was keeping the Sabbath?
The nations, the Greeks, Yehudim.
No. The Greeks were keeping the Sunday Sabbath. Was Sunday ever a Sabbath?
No.
I don't see anywhere in the word where it says that, but that's another teaching. But anyway, the Gentiles begged to have these words spoken to them the next Sabbath, which means you've got Gentiles, which were the Greeks, Romans, Corinthians, Ephesians, anybody who is not called a Yehudim, or the Jews who had walked in that lifestyle. These were people who had come to Messiah, and they were Greek or Gentile, and now they have grafted themselves in. They have been grafted in. Everybody say, grafted in.
Grafted in.
To the vine of the Yehudim. So that means that they are now keeping their own Sabbath. Is that what we read?
Nope.
What do we read? What Sabbath were they keeping?
Keeping the Sabbath of the Yehudim.
They were keeping the Sabbath of who?
Yahweh.
Yahweh Sabbath? Which was what day?
Seventh day Sabbath.
The seventh day of the week. Now, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to get off my soapbox. Because every time I talk to someone and they start, especially ministers, and I understand why Yeshua used to get mad. Because they will stand in your face and they will say that Saturday, the seventh day of the week is Sabbath, but the church Sabbath is Sunday. The church doesn't get to choose anything.
That's right.
When did the church start selecting anything for itself? So you know what happens? Once you start selecting the day that is the Sabbath, then you start selecting your own laws. Now it's, you keep my laws. Forget about Yahweh's laws. Keep mine. This is the church's laws, the church's Sabbath. We celebrate on the Lord's Day. Well, brother, that day hasn't come yet. And when it comes, you better pray that you're in the protection of Father Yahweh's Sabbath. You better pray. Because when that day comes, you will not be standing up saying, we are in the Lord's Day. The Lord's Day hasn't got here yet. But when we look at the Sabbath, and there are so many teachings out there that are false, that give false information, telling people that the Sabbath has been changed. There is nothing in the Word that confirms that. Nothing in historical events ever confirm that the day was changed by the Most High, who owns it. You don't own it, Mr. Preacher. It's not yours. You cannot change it. The best thing for you to do is to pull up and start having a service on the Sabbath. Then maybe Father Yahweh will open up some understanding to where you'll understand where you might need to keep the rest of his laws that he has out there too. And then people will be blessed. It's a blessing blessing for us. Father Yahweh said he blessed the Sabbath. So isn't it just like the enemy to say, it's not a blessing? Oh, you're one of those Sabbath keepers. Yes, I am. Yes, I am a Sabbath keeper. Amen. Please tell everyone that you know that I am a Sabbath keeper. Please do that. Because, yes, I want you to know that I am a Sabbath keeper. And I want Father Yahweh to know that you know. So please tell Father Yahweh the next time you're praying to him that that woman down the street is a Sabbath keeper. Please mention my name when you're telling him that. So, as we move forward, understand that the Sabbath doesn't belong to us, it belongs to Father Yahweh. And so I'm going to get off my soapbox as I promised. That it doesn't belong to man, it belongs to Yahweh. Now, the third law in the Sabbath that governs the Sabbath, no buying or selling. He says, or to make your own way. And then I'm going to reference, and I thought this was a good reference for buying and selling and making your own way. What are some of the things that you can think of that would be things that you would be making your own way? Just call them out.
Profiting.
Profiting. Okay. What are other things that you could do that you would like to do that would make you happy or make you feel good, or some things that would help invest in you or your household or whatever? Oh, have your business open? Yeah. Get your hair fixed. There you go. And Sabbath is the biggest day for hair salons. Yep. Get your nails done. Grocery shopping.
Shopping period.
Shopping period. Yep. That's a sister talking right there. Shopping period. Rabbi too, he tells us all the time. He said that his mentors and everyone else, they'll always say to him, yeah, Saturday, that's the best day. You get up in the morning, you only have to do it for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Hit a few people, that's the best day of the week. And he tells them, that's Father Yahweh's day. I don't get to seek my own way. I don't get to make my own way. I don't get to buy and sell. I don't get to make sure that things go right for me. Why? Because I have safety in it. Because as I guard it, he guards me. He promised that if I would give him that 124 hours, it is directly connected, directly tied. I will say this over and over and over again. The Sabbath is directly tied to your provision. He said, I will provide too for that one day. I'll provide for you. And that's what he wants. He just wants us to be obedient so that he can give us something. Isn't that something?